you can see the build-up of the goodwill. And these were signs that we experienced ourselves. The fields that are being plowed, the tractors that are today going with huge harvests, the papayas that you probably eat at the Galadari here might have been brought from there and enjoying it. These are the tractors that are going about. I wanted to show you very quickly. And there's an interesting slide over here where some of the signs are in Sinhala. And what do the signs say? They say, Kamarata. That means there are rooms available for you to spend the evening or the night. Because there was a huge southern tourism that went to the north. And the northern people were able to make use of that opportunity as a business opportunity and provide the rooms so that they could charge. I remember the first time when I went to Jaffna, my team was able to obtain rooms at 1,000 rupees a night in Jaffna and in the north. The second time we went, it was up to 2,000. And now when we go at the 10th time, it is 6,000 rupees a night. Well and good. That's how business works. So this shows the way in which the transformation has taken place. And that's something which is very, very important for us to recognize and appreciate. We had many meetings in order to deliver that kind of situation. We had many meetings. Every time we had meetings with people, so they knew we were engaged with them. So sometimes, of course, we did actually give animals also, and it was very interesting to see. And these pictures of the lorries show the produce coming in from the north to the south. But we do want to acknowledge that there's a lot more to be done, and a lot being done in 2011 as well. These slides show the work that is being done by the different banks. Bank of Ceylon, Sampath Bank, Ceylon Bank. We had to actually address the chicken and the egg situation. Because many of the banks were to say initially, look, why do you want us to go there? There's no business there. But if you don't go there, there's not going to be any business anyway. So we had to use a little bit of moral suasion, and sometimes central banks have that ability to use the moral suasion. And we had to use it in order to encourage them very gently to move to those areas. And once they went, they found that it was a good investment, and many of them are now on their own volition going and starting up businesses. So these slides show some of the initiatives that the banking sector is taking. People's Bank, the National Savings Bank, all these banks have been working. The Indian Bank has been here. I was happy to see the Indian ambassador himself coming for that opening, and he was there himself to be a part of that celebration. The DFCC, the Indian Overseas Bank, all of them have been there. HSBC, one of the global banks, opened the branch there in the north, and the British High Commissioner was there, and so was one of the key officials, one of the board members from the HSBC itself, because these were all part and parcel of the nation-building effort. Then all in all, those efforts enabled the north and the east to perform extraordinarily well as well. The nominal growth in these provinces was the highest in 2009. We haven't still finalized the figures for 2010, but if you look at the figures for 2010 also, you would find that those areas have had some extraordinary growth figures that are very, very important for us to recognize and appreciate. So we believe that 2010, the figures also would be high figures as far as development is concerned. So from 2011 onwards, I believe that the investment that has been supported and the investment that is being made will enable these areas to deliver a growth rate of around 13% nominal growth in those areas, which I think in the context of the country would be a very, very important growth. So at the same time, the sustained nation building, the deepening financial inclusiveness took place, but we are concentrating now on a few new areas as well. The physical accessibility. Of course, we did have physical accessibility addressed in the past as 2 years as well, but now with a lot more attention, we are ensuring that people have physical access to markets and to ensure that the road networks are improved, and a huge amount of investment is taking place in that field. Banking accessibility. We have now requested the banks to ensure that for every single bank branch that they open in the Western Province, they've got to open 2 outside. And many of them are now opening outside. They won't be permitted to open any more new branches in the Western Province unless they open, for every one that they open here, to outside. And that is having the desired impact, and that is taking place so that people will have banking accessibility. Then we need to improve the entrepreneurial skills and the language accessibility. So people are being trained, and that is also taking place now. Technology and ICT accessibility. I think the Secretary to the President has been in the forefront of supporting that effort, the ICT capabilities in our country. I'm sure he might talk to you about it today. The extraordinary rise in ICT awareness as well as ICT capability in the people of our country. And that's something that we are working on as well. So already massive investments have taken place. More than $1 billion have been spent in the East alone. And in order to maintain the current growth momentum that we are putting into place, we will have a series of investments that have been planned over the next few years as well. Major investments, the rehabilitation of key roads, railroads, hospitals and bridges, industries that have been closed down before, which are going to be reopened, implementation of large-scale irrigation schemes, upgrade of the fisheries harbors. A large number of fisheries harbors are being upgraded, development of tourist attractions, while many other mine investments are also taking place. So we have shown, my dear friends, that we are putting our money where our mouth is. So if you look at the Vadikkin Vasantham program that has been planned for 2011 to 2013, and which is now ongoing, we are investing 251 billion rupees over the next 3 years. That's a huge investment that we are making in order to ensure that the growth momentum is maintained so that the nation building effort is not curtailed in any way. In 2011 alone, about 50 billion rupees is being planned. In the East, 26 billion rupees is being planned. And we can be satisfied that in the past 2 years that our efforts have borne fruit now. And at the same time, the two provinces have also shown that they are able to make use of these opportunities. It is one thing to provide opportunities, it is another for them to make use of it. We are happy that the Northern Province people have been able to make use of this, and they have also, through their demand, now encouraged banks to set up their own branches, and we see a pipeline of bank branch openings which gives us the confidence to say that this is actually happening. And during the recent floods, where there was tremendous amount of upheaval as far as the food supply was concerned, we did not have any major fluctuation in prices, particularly because there was such a large amount of foodstuffs that came from the north. So as a result, our own macroeconomic fundamentals also stayed benign because the steps that we had taken for 2 years bore fruit so quickly. And we were able to have no crisis, there was no upheaval in prices, and that was the change that we all experienced without knowing from where that real change came. So that was the benefit. So I think it is necessary to highlight that today to show already these efforts have borne fruit and we are seeing the benefits of that. Over the next few years, we must ensure that all our resources are wisely harnessed. And that is something that is as a challenge for us, and we are working on that very carefully. And I also want to emphasize here that these successes were achieved because we prepared for the post-conflict period before the conflict was over. I remember at least 8 months before the conflict was actually over, the President called us and said, look, you've got to ensure that the economic factors and fundamentals are put in place properly by the time the war is over. And that was a challenge for us. That is why I believe the people ensured of his re-election because he was smart enough to understand. But immediately after a war, if the economy is in shambles, many people, many leaders have lost their jobs, although they have done extraordinarily well in defeating their enemies. In many countries, we have seen that happening. The war is won, but the leaders who made that victory happen were not able to sustain themselves in the positions,